Hello there students, welcome back to this video series. This is your instructor Dhruvi Bhatt, and today we are discussing about a very private topic. Today we would be talking about respecting privacy at our workplaces. Okay, what exactly is meant by privacy? Privacy is the physical and informational space that we need from others and that others need from us. In the workplaces, it is a mandatory requirement to maintain that distance, to maintain that privacy with your colleagues. Okay, what are the basic reasons and why am I blabbering so much about privacy? So, most important question is obviously, why do you need to maintain privacy at workplaces? Why exactly is privacy required? Why do you need to maintain privacy or that distance from your colleagues in the workplaces? Can't you all be friends, ma'am? Yes, different people in the organization gelling well together is a huge plus, but along with getting together very nicely and being a great team member, each one of the person in the team have their own personal requirements of privacy, and it is your duty to respect this privacy. What are the reasons? The first and foremost reason is obviously professionalism. The Western professionalism is taking up the Indian society a lot, where we have mimicked many things followed by the Westerners, professional privacy being one of them. Okay, here we keep our business lives and our personal lives different, where we tend to keep our private lives to ourselves and we do not broadcast it to our colleagues. Second reason why we need to maintain privacy is globalization. Students, just like any other things, even privacy has different meanings, has different norms in different cultures. Globalization has made it mandatory to follow the norms of different people all around the world, to follow their privacy measures, to follow the amount of privacy that each of these cultures required. Okay, already as such, cracking a deal with foreign delegates or a foreigner is already very difficult. At this point, we do not want their privacy matters to come in between these deals, or we do not want them to be offended by we intruding or prodding over in their privacy. That is why students, for all these reasons, you need to respect privacy of others. If you are still not convinced, you would be knowing that there are many laws which are specifically documented for privacy, to guard the privacy of others. So, if not to respect professionalism or globalization, at least to respect the law and conduct, you need to respect privacy. Okay, these are different reasons due to which respecting privacy at workplaces is hugely important in today's world, in today's domain. Okay, but ma'am, how to do so? And what are our barriers? What is the wall that we do not need to cross? What is the limit of this privacy? What are the questions that we can ask? What are the talks or what are the topics that we can indulge in with our colleagues, and what are the topics that we should not indulge in? Yes, so many questions, and in this lecture you will get all the answers. Here we will try to establish our limits and where we stand in our organizational perspectives. Ideally, students, organizational privacy is divided into two basic parts: the physical space and the informational space. We will study each of these spaces in detail, starting with firstly the physical space, which is given huge regards in organizational privacy. Physical space is the actual space around you which is taken up by your postures, gestures, by your hand movements, by your leg movements, by your any type of physical movements. It is the amount of space around you which you safeguard and which you do not want other people to enter. We already studied proxemics in one of our topics where we understood that we let different people enter different types of physical spaces around us. Okay, we need people to maintain certain types of distances based upon their relationship with us. So, maintaining a physical space is really very important in any organizations. You cannot invade into other people's private bubble. How can you make sure that you do not do so? I'll give you some of the tips here. First and foremost, you need to maintain physical distance. Students, this distance is varied. As I already told you, it is varied according to different cultures, according to your relation with the other person, but accordingly maintain the physical distance between the person. Do not invade their private space. This is very much different in Indian cultures and the American cultures, where they probably maintain distance, huge amounts of distance around each other. Okay, they stand far apart while talking to each other. Even if they park a car, they park a car away from each other. Even if they are in traffic waiting for the signal to open, they wait at quite a distance from each other. Obviously, one of the reasons of them being able to maintain the distance is the huge area or wide area of space available to them, which is not available with us Indians. But mostly they do not scooch in. We have this term that we scooch in our cars. The car of 5 people can easily take 6 to 7 people adjustments, right? But it is not very common in other cultures. So make sure that when you are dealing with people belonging to different cultures, maintain physical distance depending upon your relation, depending upon the area of contact, depending upon the person of contact, depending upon the culture of the person of contact. Okay, maintain good physical distance. Secondly, make sure that you respect your colleague's physical space or office space. Okay, if your colleague is having his or her own office, I'm talking about an office and not a cubicle, then make sure that you do not enter the office without permission. Even do not enter the office if your colleague is not present and wait there. Secondly, the table demarks the limit which you should not cross without being asked to do so. If there is a table between you and your colleague, then you will sit on the other side of the table and you will not cross this limit unless you are being asked to do so. So make sure that you maintain this distance in the office space. Do not invade someone else's office space. Not get into the cubicle when the person is not there. Do not enter inside by any way. Okay. Thirdly, make sure that you do not borrow anything from your colleagues. We Indians have this very peculiar habit. Can I borrow your pen? Can I borrow your phone? Even in examinations, students do not bring their own stationery. Do you believe it? Make it a good habit that you do not borrow anyone else's things in your workplace. Do not ask them to share their different belongings, even their motorbikes or their cars. In India, we have very normal scenario where we use each other's vehicles, but in other cultures it is not very common. So do not put other person in a place where they have to disagree with you. Make sure that you keep that distance and you do not borrow things which do not belong to you. So maintain this distance, respect others' privacy. One more thing which you must take care of is that do not touch other people's computers or mobile phones or any gadgets. Okay, we have this tendency, some email is open in the computer, you will just go and check it out, or you are using someone's phone for calling other and some text message just pops up, you just read out. Do not do so. This is invading into other person's privacy. Make sure that you do not touch other people's gadgets without their permission and without their guard. You can do so if they give you the permission and they are standing there guarding you, and if they have given you specific permission to use specific things, then stick to those things, stick to those apps only. That would be good manners as well. Okay. One more thing you will take care of is do not visit anyone uninvited. Do not visit your colleague's house uninvited, or if they are not knowing. It is a general tendency here that we go to our friends or our colleagues' house in the weekends and we try to give him a pleasant surprise. But this pleasant surprise might not be very pleasant for some of the people. It might be a shock. Do not give these type of shocks. Make sure that you enter someone's house or visit someone only while you are invited. Okay, that was all about physical space. Let us see about the informational privacy that you need to maintain at your workspace. There are some questions. There is some information which is guarded. The information which you do not want to share with your colleagues, or the information which your colleagues might also not want to share with you. Do not ask such questions which will go beyond the respects of privacy. Okay, what are these questions, ma'am? You would be astonished to know some of the topics. Obviously, I have created a list, but the list is never ending. The questions are not limited only to these lists. The list is beyond the scope of this lecture, but make sure that at least these amount of questions you stay away from, and these are the questions which you will not include in your small talks. In our lecture of small talk, we already got to know the topics which you can talk with to break the ice, but here are some topics which are completely off the show. Okay, so keep them off the shore and make sure that you do not ask the questions which are very prudent. Let's see the first question. Do not ask anyone their date of birth or their age. Irrespective of the belief that only girls hide their age, guys do that too. Everyone is uncomfortable to share their age with the mere fear of being judged. They do not want to be judged dependent on their age, because people tend to judge the capabilities, the thoughts, the thinking abilities, everything depending on the age. So, irrespective of the gender of the person, make sure that you do not ask questions that are related, that need the person to reveal their age or their date of birth. Even do not ask some type of indirect questions revealing their age. How old were you when Friends series was out? Okay, that was an indirect question, but try to keep away from these questions. Do not intrude and do not ask someone's age or date of birth. Do not ask about someone's marital status, romantic life, or children unless told so. If someone is sharing their romantic life with you, you can listen to it, but do not prude into or do not ask questions about that. Okay, it is very uncommon in many cultures to ask someone in the first meeting whether they are married or not. It is very rude. Do not ask such questions about the personal life because you are meeting for work. Keep the talks limited to work. Okay. Thirdly, do not ask anything about the salary, their property, jewelry, or any type of financial transactions or stock market activities. This too will look bad. You do not want to get to know the financial statements of others. Do not prude into. Salaries are a very private matter, so do not ask someone their salaries unless you are told so. If you are told, it's okay, but do not ask someone what their salary is or how they are coping up with their finances. Okay, that would be very bad manners. Secondly, even do not judge the person from the salary or their financial matters. Okay, that would be rude too. Thirdly, make sure that you do not directly go and ask for the phone number or the addresses. First meeting, can I just get your phone number? Very bad manners. Do not ask for phone numbers or addresses in the first meeting or in the first acquaintance. That would be bad manners. Do not ask about religious orientation of other people, and more definitely, do not disrespect them. Each person have different religious orientations, different beliefs, different castes, different cultures. Respect everyone's cultures, respect everyone's religion, and do not at all probe into details about what exactly are the do's and don'ts in their particular religion. Do not even ask someone about their health parameters, even if you know that someone is suffering from heart ailment or blood pressure. Do not probe much into the detail and ask that, okay, how much your blood pressure remains, what is the exact number, how high is your BP, what is your heart rate, do you have cholesterol, how much cholesterol do you have. Do not ask these questions about people. People might not want to discuss their health issues with you, so respect their privacy and respect their health. Secondly, do not even ask about health of their family members if you are not told so. For example, you can just drop a courtesy question like, your mother-in-law is hospitalized, is there anything to worry about? If you are given an answer that no, nothing to worry about, she is feeling better, then do not probe much that what is the disease, what is the ailment, which doctor are you taking treatment for. Do not probe much into it. But if the person tells you the details, you can listen to them. Try to keep the questions limited to courtesies and do not ask for much details unless told so. Do not ask about grades. Okay, we have this system where grades are publicized on web portals, but do not, you can just silently log into the web portals and check your friend's enrollment number, but it is bad manners to ask about educational qualifications, grades, or anything related to resume to your colleagues. Okay. Do not ask them their enrollment number too to do your silent intrusion. Okay. That would be more of bad manners. Do not go through companies' documents any day and get to know more about any of your colleagues. That would be too much intruding. Do not ask anyone about their private meeting with the bosses, about their annual performance review results. Do not ask anyone about this. This is also a very private matter. They might not want to discuss about their review with you. So do not ask them. If you get to know, then keep the information with yourself only. Also, do not make it an office talk to talk about someone else's review. Okay, do not make it into a big talk. Make sure that you keep the details to yourself. Do not ask about the reasons if they have taken a leave for 1 or 2 days or a week maybe. If your colleagues do not discuss this with you, you will not ask them that why they were absent. Yes, it is a totally casual question, but if you feel that it is an intruding one for some of the people, then keep away from that question. Like, if the person answers you that I had some private work so I didn't come, do not get into the details about that private work. Okay. One more thing which you must take care of is, do not ask about the itineraries or plans if someone is going for a vacation. Many people might not like to share about all of the plans they have drawn for the weekend. Okay, so do not get into the details about the itinerary, where you are staying while you are on vacation, what you are going to eat, which country you are going to visit, which cities you are going to visit. Do not get into the itinerary. Just wish them happy holidays. That's all. Okay. Do not ask anyone about the political orientation and views. Do not ask them, whom are you going to vote this time? Do you think BJP is better or Congress is better? Do not ask such questions or do not ask about their political views. Do not help anyone unless asked so. This is very common, especially for girls. They get a lot of unsolicited help. Okay. Do not help until you are specifically asked to help. Do not volunteer to give an unsolicited help, because in foreign countries it is considered to be rude to even to help someone without being asked to do so. So make sure that you do not get into much, do not intrude much into someone else's work, and let the person do the work. Okay, that was all about the informational privacy. So much to remember, ma'am. These are some of the tips which would help you to follow the privacy in your workplaces. What are the tips? Firstly, just get over the misconception that there is nothing wrong about getting other people's personal information. Students, there is something wrong. Okay, depending upon the organizational culture, you need to respect the privacy of other people. So get above the misconception that it is okay to ask such questions. What's wrong in asking some person their age? What's wrong in asking some person their salary? It's such common questions. Do not do so. Do not intrude very much unless you are specifically given the information. Do not try to get information from different sources. Okay. Secondly, use the correct way of building the profiles of people at work. We have this general tendency of building a profile where we start with age, after that we start with the salary, and then we start with the position the person is working at. Instead of that, try building the profile on the strengths of the person or the attributes of the person, and make it less judgmental. You tend to build a profile like Mr. Mayank is a male candidate. He is of 32 years old. His salary is 6 lakh rupees per annum. He is a senior mechanical engineer. He has completed his mechanical engineering with very good grades. He is a senior mechanical engineer, and after that you try to tell that what he is good at. Do not build a profile like this. Instead of building a profile based on things like maybe ages, maybe caste, maybe salaries, try to build profiles based on abilities and strengths. This is Mr. Mayank. He is very good at testing the mechanical strengths of the different substances we offer. That is much better of a profile. Okay, so do not define a person, do not define a colleague in front of someone else based on irrespective parameters. Instead, try to use some better parameters. Thirdly, this is just a corollary to our first tip. Here, students, as you feel that as I am explaining you that you should not ask some of these questions, on the other side of the coin, you also should not answer these type of questions. Okay, give evasive or curt answers to curious cats. Some of the people are always curious and they are not interested in your lives. They are just interested in talking about your lives. Make sure that you do not give too much information to such type of people. Okay, try to give curt and short answers like, I would not like to talk about this if you don't mind. I'm sorry to let you down, but I cannot answer that question. As simple as that. Try to give short, simple, curt answers to the people who are very much intruding and who are trying to invade your private space. One more tip, let the topics evolve naturally, don't force them. Whenever you are starting a conversation with any of your colleagues, let the topics come up naturally. Do not try to get into the topics forcibly, and do not try to dwell into the topics which are very controversial. Like, if you already know that someone is facing a slack period, someone is facing a less performance review, do not keep on asking him that what went wrong with the annual meeting that day, what went wrong with the review that day with the manager, why did the manager call you on Friday. Do not ask such questions. Let the topics evolve naturally in your conversations, and if the topic comes up, you can ask about little details. Do not probe into much details. Okay? Students, leave the other person alone if that is what their wish is. Many people are inherently introvert. Do not do not force them to speak, or do not force topics into them, or do not invade into their space if they do not want to talk to you. Yes, obviously you can mention some occasional courtesies like hi, hello, or good morning, good evening, but do not go beyond the limits of the questions or the limits of the courtesies. Leave the other people alone. Some people might like to work in their own cocoon, so let them work, let them be. One more thing, never assault other people's sound space. Sound space is also a type of space where you invade the volume space of other people. At your workplaces, make sure that you do not speak too loudly. Even if you have got a call, do not talk on the call in front of everyone at a very loud pitch. If you need to do so, talk at a low pitch, or better, excuse yourself from the room if you get an emergency call. Talk slowly. Secondly, make sure that if you are listening to music in your phones, you listen to it at a very low pitch and you do not disturb other people's work. Do not play songs very loudly. Everyone would be having a different music taste. So keep your songs to yourself, keep whatever you are listening to yourself. Do not invade other people's sound space in the work organizations. Okay? Make sure that you are very careful about your personal information, your PAN number, your credit card number, your email ID, pins, etc. All these things must be with you at all the times, and none of the people should get access to these things through any of the devices available in the offices. Do not log in into the public devices, and if you need to do so, use incognito windows. Make sure that your private information like credit card, debit card numbers, ATM pins, email ID passwords, or any specific organization related information is leaked via you. Okay, many a times you might be given to specific email IDs with the password by the organization itself, but this can be a need only information, so do not pass it on to your other colleagues unless asked to do so. Okay, this were all about the tips, students. Now let us try to understand that how we can protect organizational privacy and proprietary information. How can we do so? First and foremost, students, do not in any way discuss your business deals with your family members. Obviously, you would be having this tendency to talk to your family members about how wonderful you performed at your offices. Yes, you can do so. You can talk about your own priorities or how you performed, but do not get into details. Do not get into details about what projects you are working on, what is the next product you are going to launch. This information can flow very unnecessarily and unknowingly to places where it should not reach. So, in spite of having that tendency to talk to your spouses or your close friends or your parents about different things at your workplace, or different you can say different things you work with at your workplace, make sure that you do not discuss much in detail about this with your family members. Do not tell about what chemicals you use for fabrication. That would be bad. Secondly, make sure that you do not spread information about companies' decisions, projects, status, etc. Okay, because many people would be keeping a close watch, competitors might be keeping a close watch on to each and every step of your company. So make sure that the information does not reach the competitors, the project status, or what is the company's future plans. All these things should not go out of your minds or out of the company premises, organizational premises. Do not discuss company's future plans. As you cannot discuss company's present projects and plans, do not discuss about its future plans. This can be a huge media scandal, and your company can be a part of this scandal if you discuss something which is not in your itinerary. Do not discuss. One more thing, make sure that you do not discuss about the customer data as well. Your customer is trusting you with their data. Many a times customers offer their email IDs or passwords to the organizational employees. They give them their profiles to maintain. They trust you a lot, they trust your organization a lot. If they have given you their private data, learn to respect their privacy too, and do not spread this information. Make sure that the information is safe with you, is guarded with you. Make sure that your company's intellectual properties are very much protected. Okay, any type of patents are safe in the organization. Even if you have access to that information, to that intellectual property, projects, patterns, or anything like that, even if you have access to them, make sure that you do not spread them. You do not access them without the knowledge of companies' heads. This can be a legal problem too. So make sure that the intellectual property is very well guarded. Make sure that you guard the privileged information to the core. Any type of privileged information which is with you, which is not dependent upon your profile, must also be guarded. Say for example, you are in manufacturing department, but you know things about sales department, like what are the marketing strategies or what new technique they are coming up with. Do not wear the wrong hat. They need to they are the ones who are going to introduce this marketing strategy. Do not go forward and start using it before the sales department do so. That would be very bad. So guard the privileged information. Make sure that everything goes correctly and rightly. That's it from my side, students. Thank you so much for listening to me. Make sure that you respect others' privacy and you respect your privacy first. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is Dhruvipat signing off. Until next time. Bye bye.